Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and I hope everyone can hear properly because my AC and my dehumidifier, yeah, there you go, I've got everything running, so there's loads of noise in the background, I'm sure. Right, so it is an Eiffel store, let's make this, and it's a request. But first of all, before I get into that, I want to show you my haul. And I'm going to be using these next week, and I ordered 90 of them. Yes, a huge amount, enough to last me for life, I'm sure. And if I open them, I'm sure you know what these are. I'm just getting the bag open. These arrived yesterday, so I'm just really excited. And these are card action wobbles. Get close there. That's the bit that sticks to your card. And then this is the bit that sticks to your character or your critter, and you know, they spin and twing and twang and wobble, so looking forward to using those. I will link these below. They are an absolutely amazing price, because if you go online you'll see they cost ridiculous money, and I don't know how much I paid for these. There's 90 of them, and I think I probably paid $14 or something. But I know that you would pay probably 20, 25, 30 for 20. So, you know, great purchase. And I will link that below. Right, back to the project. Yes, this was requested by Marilyn. And it's out of the sleeve. And this is the cup and the jug stamp set. I don't know how clear that's showing. There you go. So it comes with all of those bits, and you also get little butterfly or butterflies. Right, so I have, because I'm using an embossing folder today, I thought it would be good to show you how I like to colour out my embossing folders, because yesterday I'd already shown you how I coloured my stamps, and I've basically done the same thing. So there's my little jug, and I fussy cut that, and it's got my sparkly pen on, just like I did the fish yesterday. And then here's my cup. I'm just separating it from my butterfly. So there's my little cup, and that's all sparkly as well. So I've got my cup and my jug, and there's my teeny tiny little flutterby. Isn't that sweet? So I've done those elements, and I cut the handle areas out using this gadget here from, who's it by? I think it's We Are Memory Keepers. Now you have to be really careful when you open this, really you do. When I first purchased it and didn't know how to use it, I quite literally held it like that and pulled it, and that's the scar still on my wrist. So you see how dangerous that could have been. Always open it that way and do it gently, so that the blade will always go away from you. So I just wanted to stress that point. And I've never had an accident since, and I really enjoy using it. Right, so those are going to be the main feature on the card, which is that stamp. But we are, as I said, using and colouring an embossing folder. So I'm just going to put my squiffy map down, and this is the embossing folder that I've chosen to use. It's going to be going that way around, I think, and it's quite an old, when I say old, maybe 3-4 years old, 3D embossing folder. And I've got tons of embossing folders, and I don't use them often enough, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because the embossed edge drives me nuts. You know, when you crop it down and you've got this wave here, I just always think it looks so untidy. So, you know, there's a way to deal with that, and that's how we're going to do it. So I've used the same set of stitch frames from Surprise Creation that I used yesterday, and that is my base. That will be my embossed area, and then using that same frame with the smaller frame, I have cut a frame which will be popped up on foam tabs. And that's how you do it, you see. A nice straight edge for your embossing folder. Yeah, I know, it might sound a bit nuts, but I just personally don't like it. So these are going to remain white, and that is what we're going to colour in to be our background for our stamps. Right, we are using Jane Davenport the palette pastels, and this is the chilled set. You can see there's some great colours in there. So I'm just going to open those. I'm going to put them at the side of me. Hopefully you can see them. I'll try to drop the camera down really close. Let's get those, yeah. So as long as I've got basically the colours of the palette in there, I'm happy. Right, so white cardstock. You do get these, but you can purchase these on AliExpress. They're a little bit shorter, but they're exactly the same, and of course they're probably a third of the price. But I've got these and they're old, and you can see they've all already got loads of different colours on them, and I just keep using them, adding new colours. So I've got to decide what I want for my background, and I think I'm going to use a lot of green. So the first thing I want to do is use my darkest colour, and I'm going to use my darkest green. So I've got one here that's already got a lot of dark green on, as is that. So I'm going into this one, which is a little bit emerald. And you'll find that using things like this is not only easy on your hands, but really easy to use. Now don't worry about little flakes or bits like that going off all over the place. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. But I just want to go down with my dark colour. Now everything that's scrolly and leafy is basically what I'm getting into. And when you get little bits like that, can you see that? Just give it a tap and a blow, and away they go. A little bit more. I do tend to do my tapping and blowing right at the end. Now there's a reason I'm doing my darkest colour first, and that is because if I go into the white section, which is going to be paler, I can blend out any mishap with my paler chalk. So there's method in my madness, and then I come back and I can touch it up after. Ooh, I like that. Might not look like much at the moment. I'm going to spin it around. Right, I'm going to finish my dark green and I'll be right back. Right, so that's my dark green all done, and now I want to use a paler green, and I think I'm going to go for this one here. That one's a little bit grey. I'm not sure about that actually. I'm looking at what colour I put on my die cuts, and I think I'm just going to go with this one. It's kind of a limey olive. I'm not sure if that shows true on the camera, and at this point this is where I'm going with this. So it's a lot paler than the leaves, and I'm just working it into my gaps very gently, and you can see everything else is standing out. Now you can of course use I don't know what they call them nowadays. I don't wear makeup, and I haven't worn makeup for years, but we used to call them a duster brush or a big blusher brush, and you can certainly use one of those if you want to. In fact, the last time I wore makeup it was powdered minerals. I don't know what they use nowadays. I just go bare skinned, just wear moisturiser and that's it. So let's give that a tap. I'm holding that up. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to carry on putting the pale in, and then we'll come back. Right, I've done that, and I'm trying to get a close-up for you so you can see what it looks like. It's really soft and subtle. It's really pretty. Now you can see what I've got left to colour there are the flowers. So I think because I've got some yellowy orange going on there, I'm going to go with a little bit of lilac-y purple. So I'm just going to find one that's gonked up a bit. There you go. Here's a purple one. There's some grey there as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, let's go pink first. Let's put a paler colour down. Now you can see, if you have a close up there, You can see my green went onto the edges, but don't worry about that because now we're going to get rid of it. So we're just going to go in with our pink. Really gently, you're just kissing the surface of your paper. And I'm really hoping you can see that because there is a huge colour change. And I will pick it up again in a second. And then you can see that we've got like stamens coming off here. So what I want to do there is dip the end so it's just the very tip that's got some on, and then you can just tickle those. And if you want to put sparkly pen or anything up there, then you certainly can. Now I want to go in with a darker purple. I've got a darker one here, and I'm just going to shade it down at the bottom. I'm going to have that a little bit much darker. It's kind of a plum colour. And I've got this bit here. I always think orange and purple goes quite nicely. And then I'm going to shade here for this one. Just in the middle section. So I've got a little bit of colour going on there, and back up here because it's got stamens up here as well. And then I'm going to blend it out with the flat of my brush, and I'm going to pick it up so that you can see it. Now if you wanted to go, you know, wild with your colours and add bits of gold and what have you, which would probably look really lovely on, you know, a few of these leaves, a little bit of gold wax or something, then you can certainly do that. But I'm quite happy, I think, to kind of leave that like that. So that is how I get up to colouring my embossing folders. Now I'm just going to pause while I grab the frames. Right, so I've got my frame and I've put some foam on the back of it. So this is the frame, and I'm going to flip that over, and you can see it should be narrow enough, she says, praying, and that should be able to just slot into there, which is good because there should be enough space for me to glue. So I'm getting it stuck to my fingers there. I'm pulling the pin out of my glue bottle, and I'm just going to go all the way around. Right on the edges, because the embossing is going to be quite close in there, so I want it to catch. Right, so I've got a bead of glue all the way around. Stick my pin back in. Now this is square, so it doesn't really matter which way you put it in to glue it, because you're going to orient it in a minute. So just need to make sure that you've got no gap there. So let's give it a quick flip over. Nope, no gap. So now we can press it. See, that's what I was saying about embossing, because you've got all those embossed bits. There's bits that stick up, bits that don't, and I know people tend to use adhesive tape to tackle it, but at the moment I'm just using wet glue. and I don't want any sort of like airlight gaps showing through it. So just on those embossed bits, I'm just going around sticking it down with my fingers. It is extremely humid here today, I will say that. And if I flip that over and have a look, I think that's fairly neat. There's probably a bit there that I don't really like, so I'm just going to squish that down with my fingers. And have a look at that. Right, I think it's going to go like that. Isn't that pretty? It's amazing what you can do with an embossing folder, and I'm quite naughty for not using them more often, really. So that is then going to go onto here. So your cards will end up, you know, stuck down and looking like that. So I'm just flipping it over to peel my bits. In fact, I'll pause and peel my bits. Right, so there's our embossing inside of our frame, and there's no annoying wavy edges to look at. Right, so now to the focal point, which is the cup and the jug and the little butterfly. And you know, I think I might stick the little butterfly somewhere up here to go with the flowers, and give it a little pinch. So I'm going to glue that on after. But the jug set, I can have it either, you know, kind of fitting within and on the edge of that frame, or I can have it down on the frame. And I do quite like it down on the frame, actually. And the cup too. Yeah, I mean, the cup needs straightening up. Yeah, I do. I quite like it to the top row of stitching. So I'm just going to pop some foam on the back and I'll be right back. Right, so foamy tape is on. And while I'm peeling this off, I hope everyone's going to have an awesome weekend. I'm going to be busy filling my vegetable beds with compost, because I've sown loads of new seeds. I've got tomatoes and all sorts of things that I need to get out for the fall. So I'm going to be in the garden, and I know it's going to be incredibly hot. Right, so there's my little jug. Now I'm going to go on with the cup. Now I left this area out without anything because it's going to overlap the jug. Now if you wanted to put some glue on there, you could, and probably should. And let's have a look. And we want to work within those stitch lines. So there's our pretty little cup and jug. I'm just going to hold that up so that you can see it. And it is so sparkly and pretty. So we've got lots of little bits of sparkle there. And then we've got this little tiny butterfly. And I think, you know, just to kind of tie those colours back down, I'm going to put it on that little branch. That little branch of greenery. And of course there is still room for a sentiment. So that's probably gone in a direction that I didn't want it to. There, that's better. Right, that is what I have for you today, and I do thank you so much for joining me. I really do, and I do hope you have a wonderful weekend. And so here is, whoops, a little close-up if we can get in there. I don't think I put any glitter. Oh yeah, I did. I put some sparkly pen on that butterfly, and that just looks so lovely. I think that's really pretty. But a little sort of label shaped sentiment up there would look really nice. Right, Marilyn, I hope that you like that, because that was you who requested it. And once again, have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday, and as usual, or links below. Bye.